Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox, where we cover all things Xbox, new and old. And on today's agenda is a review of Episode 2 in the all-new Halo TV series streaming now on Paramount+. So, I was in the boat off the first episode of being rather disappointed in this show, and you can go back and listen to that review. And honestly, I was a little reluctant hopping into this new episode. But I do think the setup is there, and I just don't think that first episode quite stuck the landing. But now, after just finishing watching episode 2, I can say this one has much better execution, and it is a more enjoyable experience. For anybody that's a big fan of action, I will say that you will not really find that with this episode. This episode features a lot of conversation and mystery solving, as well as world building. I think it's allowed the plot to really shine. Looking back now, I can tell I didn't love the forced action in the first episode. It's here that you can really tell the flaws with the CGI, and I just really wasn't having a lot of fun with the action. Where I enjoyed it more was the world building and looking at the cool sets and really exploring the Halo lore. When an episode like this comes out, it has everything that I'd want out of this Halo show. In this episode, we get flashbacks to Master Chief's past and a continued adventure of him being on the run. He shows up on a rebel planet with an old friend who is taking care of the girl Chief has been ordered to kill. He also solves some of the mysteries of the strange Covenant device. There's also a B-plot set up with Dr. Halsey back on Planet Reach, setting up Cortana, who she plans on installing in Chief. And I will say the UNSC and Dr. Halsey stuff isn't my favorite. I find some of the acting in these scenes to not be incredible, but I do love the setup. Soon we'll be seeing Cortana in the show, and I think that's awesome. And I really hope they do that well. And I was actually surprised by all the lore in this episode. It's a new plot in the world, but it still is based in a lot of things from the books and games. I was seeing places and references to things from the book that I'm currently reading, The Fall of Reach. I think they've done a good job of capturing the look of the world, and they might say they didn't play the games while making this, but they definitely did a good amount of studying. And I also really enjoy this new villain that shows up, who is absolutely brutal, killing off enemies very fast in a very dark manner, and I'm really excited to see where this brief plotline ends up going. I also really enjoy the plotline of Chief and visiting his escaped Spartan friend on an asteroid base. His friend being played by the great character actor Bokeem Woodbine, and has a great presence on screen. He's really just got a fun personality. There's some weird stuff though, like this character, he buys churros at one point, and I didn't even know churros existed in the Halo universe, but they do now. He also smokes out of what looks like an oxygen tank at one point. It's very silly, and honestly it made me laugh, but it's kind of enjoyable in a dumb sci-fi way. There's also a hidden Squidward house at one point on a prayer table, and I really hope that's just a cheeky Paramount reference and not just really bad prop placement. So yeah, it is mostly dialogue in this one and world building, but I really enjoyed that, and I actually see where some of the better things about this show are in the writing. I think I appreciated the show a little more with this episode. It still has some issues with acting and some all-around awkwardness, but I think it is trying its best, and it is getting better, at least from episode 1 to episode 2. I hope that it sticks to this fun sci-fi atmosphere. Alright, and then be sure to tune in whenever episode 3 comes out, and I'll be talking about that. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Also leave a comment below if you watched this episode and you might have enjoyed it. I'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.